I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll open the meeting with an opportunity for the public to be heard. I assume some of you folks are going to want to have something to say.
Thank you.
Bill, just when you stand up to speak, please state your name so that the clerk has it.
Good evening. My name is Bill Barnhart, and I reside at 49 Amherst Avenue. Right now, I'd rather be getting a root canal than addressing the board, but I do feel very strongly about this issue, so I'm going to press forward anyway. I would once again reiterate that I am a supporter of our police department, but do not support the relocation of the police station to the Armory Maintenance Building. When buying a home, you're always taught that it's about location. Providing services, the same adage should be applied. This location makes no sense from a safety and/or liability standpoint. Perceived cost-cutting solutions often end up costing much more in the long run. Having said that, I would like to ask the board a few questions. Number one, where exactly are you at this stage? Are your minds made up on this course of action? And I'd like each board member to address this, please.
Start with Dave.
We're looking at that location. Yes, financially, it makes sense. The building is sound. We've looked at it as far as being able to put it there. So I'm quite convinced that would be a good location for the police station, yes.
Patty?
I guess I would have a question for you. And what's the big issue? Is it coming in and out of from Amherst Avenue? That's the concern.
Absolutely. That's an accident waiting to happen. I see people going in and out. I see kids running in and out. I see pedestrians going in and out. I see cars going in and out all times of the night. You have a very, very heavy traffic flow in that area that I don't really think you're aware of. The buses are going up and down the road, especially at dismissal times. You're going to get it to a point where it's going to be they're going to get a jam there at some point, and you're not even going to be able to get your officers out on the call. And going the other way towards Champlain it just makes no sense. The way the curves are on that road. The way the senior citizens are parking all over that area. How are you going to get a police car to navigate that safely? I don't understand that. I just cannot comprehend how there will not be some sort of liability issue involved at some point there.
Well, so then I have a question, and I wonder if we've considered, right now it's true going in and out of there. You go this way and that way, and the circle is there. Could we have an access, could we possibly build another access that is on the south end of the Armory building, on the south end of the circle, that would be more of a straight line to that building, so that would be the policeman's way of getting in and out of there. It would take the traffic off of Amherst, and it would also take the traffic out of those, the turns. It might be faster for them to get in and out. I know there's a fence there.
As a matter of fact, that is absolutely one of the options that are going to be looked at. Obviously, the traffic flows around the Armory proper will change somewhat. We feel we have more than adequate area there to reroute traffic to accommodate the senior citizens in the after-school program and the police department. And that'll be decided on by the engineers and the architects. And as far as the Amherst Avenue side goes, unless there is an extreme emergency, that will not be used. So you'll have your emergency vehicles going out either side of Champlain Avenue, actually, because if you think about it, the EMS building is nearly directly across from the Armory. There have been no issues with the EMS at all, and they run out of building every time they receive a call. The police run out of building maybe 20% of the time, because usually they're on patrol somewhere else in the community anyhow. So those two, that traffic point, Bill, is, I understand if I were a resident there, I would understand the concern, but I think if you listen to the plan and listen and realize how it's going to work, that condition should go away, that concern.
I'm just saying, as a through point through there, you would not believe how much traffic you get through there. If you're going to try and make that a one-way,
Through
throughway
where?
From Champlain to Amherst.
Well, that
I mean,
will-
people are
Obvious.
kids are walking through there.
Obviously, when the police become involved in that space, I think your throughway effect will end very quickly.
That's a matter of,
That's a matter of enforcement, and that's what police do.
but you're going to get kids going through there anyway. I'm just telling you.
Well-
Say you're going to force it, and I understand that. I know kids. I dealt with
I
kids for many,
understand.
many years.
I know you did.
And, I'm just saying, kids are going to be kids, and they're going to run through there anyway. I'm still concerned with liability issues. I'm still concerned with safety issues.
Okay.
And of course, yes, I'm right there. Am I concerned about my own quality of life? Absolutely. But beyond that, I also want this community to go forward. There's been many, many studies done over the last 5 years. I don't think any of those studies ever touched the Armory outbuilding until recently.
That's incorrect. I can tell you that. It was discussed in the first studies, and it was eliminated because there was a misunderstanding in the agreement between the state and the town. Okay, and it wasn't realized until recently that the town can use that building for a police building and still stay within the parameters of the agreement with the state on how that property can be used. That's why you didn't hear about it as much quite some time ago. The other sides of that, I hate to jump into Chatty's answers, but, you know.
So you're saying that's going to be a major additional cost, though, to have another road built through there, another additional, you're going to have to maintain that road as well. It's all going to be additional cost. In the long run, is that really going to be worth it?
According to the cost studies that have been done preliminarily, absolutely.
So-
It is the most, without question, it is the most cost-effective alternative that we have at this point in time.
So what about the long-term effects of this, though? The long-term effects. Is this something that we're really planning on? This is the police force for the next 30, 40 years.
I hope so.
So as this town grows, we're going to keep the police force in the middle of the residential area.
Right now, we have a group of people, it's not so much in the residential area, okay, as it is centrally located, and we have one group of people in this town that are extremely concerned that our police force is so far from our schools. Okay, this combats that concern. Okay, it puts our police force very close to 2 of the 3 schools. It's more centrally located in the community than our present space. It is closer to downtown. It is mega times closer to the schools and the concerns that people have. This is not a decision that has been made without a lot of thought being given and a lot of research being done.
Well, I'll grant you that.
And I, you know,
When I address the board, I know that you guys have a hard job. I know there's budget constraints. I know there's buildings that are falling apart all over the place. I know you have a hard job, but I still believe, foremost, that this is a major safety and liability concern. That the area that right there is never designed, never ever designed to handle that type of traffic. But you say if there's a feasibility, has there been a feasibility study done? Has a traffic pattern analysis been done at some point? Will it be?
Not formally. It can be, okay? If you think the cost is warranted and enough people think the cost is warranted, I suppose it could be. But you realize that that armory and that maintenance building, at one point, housed a dump truck company, which was vehicle after vehicle after vehicle with 100 troops, okay, that operated out of there on a weekly basis.
It was fenced in, it was gated.
It's
There was more security.
No, okay, no.
It had to be.
Bill, I served there, okay? I was executive officer of that unit for a number of years.
Could I have the other board members?
Certainly, you absolutely can,
Thank you.
yes. Chatty, I don't know that I got in the middle of that, I apologize.
Well, I guess-
I don't know that you got the,
Right, I guess I have the question that I posed about being able to change the traffic pattern there, because I wonder about getting in and out quickly, and it seems that being able to, if the main access were from Champlain, it would seem like that would take away a lot of the concerns. And I haven't seen the cost estimates, but if you compare the cost of changing the driveway, the access to going to another location, it may be the most cost effective. So that's my, and then is Alfondre the one, the architect that's doing the,
no, Alfondre gave a proposal that was significantly more expensive than it was.
Was that to do the study, or has anybody actually?
That's to do the redesign.
Okay.
They've looked at the building and given proposals to do the design work to bring it into a workable condition for the police department. And I don't know if you're familiar with the building, but right now, it's a masonry constructed building, it's a truss roof, and is completely open on the interior. It has water, sewer, electric, and cable capabilities right now. There are no petitions that amount to anything. There's like 2 or 3 little petitions in the building that need to be scrapped out. And then it's just lay out your floor design. Windows and doors would change out to a more conventional configuration for police work. And that would be built in the interior. The exterior of the building is in pristine condition. I mean, it's a plus for the town that needs to be utilized. And we have a need. We had a situation arise here less than a month ago where I received a call from Senator Little asking that if we had a need for a capital project that we hadn't begun, where we could utilize a grant of up to $100,000. And Dave happened to be in the office, and we discussed it. I discussed it with a couple other board members after that, and it was very quickly to decide that the most crucial need we have right now is a new police building. And we have money set aside in our Buildings and Grounds Fund, our Buildings and Grounds Committee. And with this grant from Senator Little, we're really in hopes that there will be enough money to complete the work with no additional cost to the taxpayer, no bonding. You know, it's a real financial opportunity for the town. And I think we'd really be remiss if we didn't take advantage of it.
Can I hear from the other 2 board members?
Right, absolutely.
Yes, the building itself is tremendous. It really is a strong, solid building. Matter of fact, I worked out of it years and years ago. But anyway, as far as the traffic, I've got the same concerns as you have. The way it's set up right now, I do not like it in any way, shape, or form. And if we can do something about that, then it might be different, but not the way it sets right now.
This is a no-win situation, really. I mean, and you alluded to that yourself. We did talk on the phone, Bill and I. Bill called me there today. I want to look at it from all aspects, I really feel, though, that we've got to do something. We've got to do something to improve the situation for the police department, and again, to raise their use of, the building they've got is not suitable. It's not, depending on who you talk to, deemed even safe. So at this point, we have a building it's off the tax rolls. We wouldn't be taking tax base away if we utilize this as opposed to some of the other things that we talked about. And I want to look at it and see if it's doable and how much it's going to cost. I think I hear a lot of open-ended stuff here in terms of projections and thinking, but we don't have a hard, firm number, and we don't know if we even have enough money to even think about it for this year, but we do have to do something, and we've got to look at all the options, this being one of them.
Okay, thank you for those candid remarks. I guess I have just one last thing I'd like to address to the council. What can we as citizens legally do to stop this from going forward? What's our options? Because I want to do everything above board.
Yeah, I'm really not aware. I wouldn't, I would think you would probably need to speak with an attorney, and well, he can't represent, obviously, if he's going to represent us, he can't represent you. I mean, that would put him in a pretty awkward position. Some lawyers, I don't know if they bother or not, but I think it would, man. But I think that would be, the appropriate thing to do, and then see what you find there. I understand your frustration. I think some of your concerns, when the plans are formulated and put down, I think most, if not all of those concerns are going to go away. Because the first thing, the traffic on Amherst, okay, to you it's a major concern. To me, it's more or less a moot point. The police department works for the town. They're going to be told you enter and exit on Champlain Avenue. We're going to construct a pathway or roadway, whatever you want to call it, for them to use that will be theirs. The seniors are going to have their space. They need a separate space. They will have their separate space. And I don't see that as being an issue. The number of cars in and out is going to be significantly less than what has historically gone on there by a huge margin. And it will probably, the Amherst side traffic, the seniors are going to all be on the Champlain Avenue side also. So that's going to take any senior traffic that you've been dealing with out of the situation. But, the cost for the town versus purchasing another building, constructing another building, the costs are just prohibitive. And we need to do something with our police building. It's only a matter of time before we're going to have that building eliminated from our inventory because of structural issues. We've got to.
I work over there quite a bit out of my county job. I'm over at the police department in and about that building. And I think the number of in and outs a day is far less than what you really think. I'd be curious if we couldn't even put a traffic counter up there just to see how many times they go in and out. That would be the easiest in terms of where they go in and out of their building. We can get one from the county. They'll loan it to us. DPW, and just count it per month, per week or month, and see how much is in and out. And that includes, that's not only the police, that's water,
Visitors.
sewer, and visitors.
And beautification, that crew works out of there too.
Yeah, beautification works out.
Beautification, it'd be hard to get just the police number, but
Yeah, unless you do just the police building.
just the police building. If you could ask some of the neighbors, though, like John Williams, there's people that live over there and have lived there for years in conjunction with the police department and water sewer, and just and just to see if it's been an issue for them, any of them, as far
Might
as
help.
noise.
You know, that's a good idea, Wayne.
Yeah.
That might be a good thing for you folks to do, is talk to some of the people that live across from the police department now. I mean, if we're going to have a police department, obviously somebody's going to live across from it,
See,
somewhere.
on Grace Avenue, I live right next door to a uniformed state trooper, right next door to me. And I take a lot of comfort in that. I mean, the fact that there was a trooper coming and going, and I mean, it was beneficial to me. I felt it was a benefit.
I understand that as well. I understand the need for the police department. I understand that all. My biggest concern, outside of my own personal, having to look at, police cars and people, being drugged in or whatever, is the safety and liability concerns. That's my biggest issues. And until I really feel that those have been addressed and addressed the way, hopefully, that you're going to address those, I will oppose this. Hopefully, I've known all of you for a number of years. I've either coached or taught all of your kids at some point, so I hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Holly Dixon. I also live on Amherst Avenue. I've just heard defenses of this project. Basically, I think it's an indefensible project. If the police need a new home, then the police need a new home. But this is the wrong choice. This is, in so many ways, is the wrong choice. The issue with the safety of school children has to do with what is currently, the armory is currently being used for. It has to do with proper use of the armory, which is for children, for recreation, for programs for children. Now, those are after-school programs, the Silver Bay program is an after-school program. The way that the children get to the program is they get off the school bus on Amherst Avenue, right there at the gate, which doesn't exist anymore. They run up through that paved area, right past where you want to put the police. Are they going to be threading their way through police cars? I don't know. Are the police going to get a sudden emergency call right when children are running up through there? They're headed to the main armory building to their after-school programs. Those buses stop first at St. Mary's, which is on Amherst Avenue. Then they move up the street and they stop at the armory. Then they move up the street, I believe they stop again. And we're talking 13 buses, 12, 13 school buses, something like that. 13. And as I say, they discharge children. I can't imagine how they can be rerouted because they have to stop at St. Mary's. So, all right, the issue of having children running in there possibly at the same time that an emergency call comes to the police is, to me, just, you want to avoid that possibility at all costs. The other thing about the children is that the children are taken out from the two programs, well, I guess no, the Silver Bay program is mostly indoors, but other times the children are outside in exactly that spot, that lawn that you're talking about putting the driveway in. Children are playing out there. They're waiting for their programs to start in the armory. They get a football or whatever it is, do kickball, do informal playing. The cheerleaders from the school come out there onto that area, onto that lawn, and also onto the paved area right next to where you're talking about putting the driveway in, and express lane from the armory, the maintenance building onto Champlain Avenue. The children are playing there all the time. The traffic that's coming through there, well, I guess some of it is not necessary, but these are peaceful people walking through the armory. So they're walking with dogs, they're playing with their kids, they're moving through from Champlain to Amherst. This is in addition to the children that are running from the school buses up there every day. So there's just, these issues, I think, will not be solved, and they will not be solved by a driveway going through the south side of the armory. That By the way, I don't think you have enough room to build a driveway there. I think you need to get an easement on the property where you have to move the fence in order to get enough room to put a paved driveway. Then you will have to relocate a fire hydrant. Then you're going to run into another problem, a traffic problem, before you even hit Champlain Avenue. And that is the front of the Armory has an esplanade. And that esplanade doesn't have a one-way sign. I mean, people go up and they go to the left, they go to the right on that esplanade. That esplanade takes cars to the steps that go into the front door of the Armory. And the front door of the Armory is the main entrance and exit for the children for the Silver Bay program. Okay, so you've got cars going through that esplanade. Again, you can't avoid that if you go through the south side, if you try to build a driveway through along the south side of the Armory. You're going to hit the esplanade, then you're going to have a merging into that, and then you're going to get to Champlain Avenue and turn left or right. Now, again, if you've just gotten an emergency call, you've got to move. Now, I don't think that it's quite okay just to say, well, this won't happen too often. One accident is just too much to bear. If there was any other place to put the new police station, so that I think is a major problem. I think that your solution isn't going to work. That maintenance building was once, what did you call it, a dump truck station or something?
No, the maintenance building has always been a maintenance building. The Armory has housed several types of military units.
Right.
And depending on which type of unit, depending on how many vehicles were housed in and around the Armory and the maintenance building. At one point, the highest number was when they were a dump truck company, that's a support unit for an engineering battalion.
Right.
It involves 28 dump trucks. It involves 3 wheeled loaders and 2 very large bulldozers, among other things.
When the National Guard was in there were between 5 and 10 vehicles.
That's totally incorrect, ma'am.
And that those vehicles were brought inside, were stored inside the utility building when the Armory was not needed.
If you would let me interject it. I served in that unit for in excess of 10 years in the Ticonderoga unit, okay? And I can tell you that number of vehicles is not accurate in any way, shape, or form. There were times when there were over 30 vehicles at that Armory. 30 vehicles and pieces of equipment, trailers, and whatnot. So that's just completely inaccurate.
Bill, where were they stored? On the back side? Because I grew up on Champlain Avenue, and I really don't remember that.
Okay, what period of time? Because,
I left in 59 when I graduated from high school.
okay, prior to 59, they were pretty much artillery most of the time. The howitzers were stored upstairs on the gym floor. There were several trucks to tow the howitzers. There were 2 or 3 Jeeps, a water truck, other vehicles that were stored in the basement of the Armory, and they were stored in the maintenance building, and some of them were parked outside next door or alongside the maintenance building between the Armory proper and the maintenance building. Okay, when they were engineers, just about every available inch of blacktop as well as under the Armory and the maintenance building was used to store vehicles and trailers and whatnot.
Right, that was my understanding too, the drill shed was used, but and then the vehicles.
Well, the vehicles-
Gotten out of the winter.
The vehicles weren't-
Are being
Yeah.
driven in under roofs
Yeah.
with doors closed.
The vehicles were not stored in the drill shed. The only thing that was stored in the drill shed, to my knowledge, were the large howitzers that they had when they were artillery. But,
If I can move on. The police department operates 24/7.
yes, they do.
The EMS, that building is often empty. And
The EMS
now in other words, I really don't think there's a comparison between.
They're available
the activity-
24/7.
The activity and the motion and the lights and the noise that would come from a police station and the EMS. One thing that I think I haven't heard anyone talk about is that there's a private residence. Well, Amherst is a street of private residences. There's a private residence within 30 feet of that building. You're going to have a holding room? It's going to be basically right in somebody's living room.
With the young children, they have 3 young children.
That's that too. So the building itself may be sound, but the location is just not good. And now I canvassed the street on Monday with Dick. Went up from one end of Amherst down to the other and talked with everyone who was home. I got 85% opposition to this plan. People in the neighborhood do not favor this. They do not think it's a good idea to put the police in that location. 85%. Then I went the next day to talk to the seniors. They don't like it either. Now, so I've only talked to one person who was in favor of locating the armory there. I'm talking about the neighborhood, about the people who will be most directly and permanently affected by this. I have one other question. When Senator Little gave you the $100,000, was it earmarked for the armory use?
Yes.
That's what she said?
No, it's earmarked for the police.
Okay,
Excuse me.
not for the armory, but for...
Not for the armory, for our, it's earmarked for Ticonderoga Police.
For the police.
At the board's discretion as to where we're going to spend.
Okay, I have a last question for Matt Moore, if I may. Am I allowed?
Okay.
Okay. Can I get a copy of the deed whereby the property was transferred from New York
You
City to...
can get it from the county clerk, and the county has it.
Oh, so the town doesn't have a copy?
No, I said you can get it from the county clerk, and I think...
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get it from Tom? Awesome, okay. And now, have there been any amendments to that?
To the deed?
It's just a deed, right?
Yeah, I know.
Not that
Okay.
I mean, I haven't been there that long, but since I've seen it, there's been no amendments to it.
Okay.
State.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
No, I'm Paul Nixon, I go by Dick. Live with her.
Oh, if I say it's okay.
I'm glad to hear that.
We live 54 Amherst, it's an old building. And you've heard most of the things, I think, already about safety concerns. Although I would add again that what you're doing here is mixing children and the police, which is very unusual. I mean, they have concerts in there. They have basketball. They have all these things in the main building itself, and you're putting the police right next to the children. I think most zoning boards in most towns would find this odd, all right? Not to mention that you're putting this police station right in the residential area. It's a historic, it's actually a historic residential area. The mill house is released. Now, in addition, so I'm just going to, those things you know all about them. I think you've heard enough about it. Our house in particular has a particular problem, all right? It's the old house that sits right next to the parking lot. Its whole property line abuts the parking lot and looks directly at the front of what will be the police station. This house was built in 1883. It has 9 windows on that side of the house, south facing, looking right at the police station. All right? The downstairs windows, some of them are 6 feet high. All right? They all are going to be impacted by sound, noise, and extra light, because I'm sure you're going to put more surveillance lights in front of the police station. All right? At night, it's going to be lit up all the time. Since we came 15 years ago, they've added lights that already make it hard to even see the stars. So many lights. You can't, but this will be even worse. The sound, it's built. That our house sits above it. There's a flat parking lot. The police station will be in this building, which serves as the skein or the backdrop of a theater. If you know anything about sound, it goes uphill, which is why talking to people in the other places of no value at all. You can run a whole superhighway over a town, they don't hear a thing. You put it in a valley under it, and the sound comes right up on it. In the case of our house, all noise in that area directly impacts our house and hits these windows. One whole side of bedroom and the downstairs living room, kitchen, and a little porch we sit on. Plus, the entire backyard is open to this area. Now, we've put up already with a lot of changes since weekend. It was the guard armory then, but they didn't have all of your vehicles. And even then, I would suspect that those vehicles were only sporadically used. But this is constant use. And even now, the water department use can be very annoying to us. There's sound, happens all the time, backing up like buses. Even that is a constant invasion of privacy, right? We put up with it, all right? If you put the police there, you're increasing that. The noise, the constancy, the time of night, the lighting, and I can't imagine that this has, it's an invasion of privacy that most zoning bureaus would not sanction. They wouldn't permit it. And then you have, in addition, as I say, not only our house, which is particularly vulnerable, the whole yard, there's no privacy left. We have the police sitting in our front yard. And in point of fact, as I said, that is the front yard of the house. If you look at it, built in 1883, it looks south, we use the lighting for heat. There was a meadow there. You put the police department in our front yard, and that's what you've done. Now, I understand that all determinations now are just financial determinations. Were it not for money, no one, I say, no one of you would have even raised this issue if it weren't for money. So what you're doing is simply overriding our privacy issues. Property values, you will have destroyed them. You can't even believe it. So that's what you will do just to us. To others, immediately, it will be in his front yard. He won't be walking his children and pulling them in his little wagon in front of the police anymore. He's got real concerns. Raising kids 20 feet from the police, right, in their backyard, and you have then your other safety issues. But now I'm just, you can tell, I'm giving you the most personal version of what it will do. It will make where we live almost untenable, right? The increases in usage, the lighting, increased noise, etc., right? In an old historic house, and the rest of it in the middle of town. But that house, I dare say, nobody will want to live there. And you all know that I'm speaking pretty much if you don't live in that area.
Where has the discussion of alternative locations for the police taken place?
Well, I think for about 2 years, a group of people were looking to put the police station downtown. They looked at several options. And I think Rite Aid got as close as it could get, and that didn't pan out. We also looked at other options as far as, we also have a problem with the highway building. So we put out to Alfondre, the architect, doing a lot of work in the town. How about putting a police and highway building together on the highway property? okay? We own that property, something we can do there. That came in and around $3.2 million to do. We didn't know if the town could handle that type of burden. You know, that was an option we looked at too. I think we're getting closer and closer to this building failing, and then we're really going to be, and you're right, I understand what you're saying completely. Bill?
We know that it's an issue of money and your need. Point is, it's a flagrant violation of property rights and private rights.
Well,
Privacy.
those are issues that aren't going to get resolved in this room. That I can tell you. You know, we try and give everyone an opportunity to come and be heard. And, you know, I would hope that we've given you folks an opportunity to do that. I'm not here to shut anybody off, but if we're going to continue, we're going to have to limit the time per person and whatnot, because we're getting on in the evening and we've still got our full agenda to get through.
Bill, I just got a question. Where are we in terms of the timing line on this thing? I mean, is it more than just a notion at this point?
Yes.
It is more than just a
Yeah,
notion?
it's no more than just a notion. Dave and I have had a talk about buildings and grounds this afternoon briefly, and have talked about bringing AES back in to refine their proposal numbers and move forward with the preliminary planning for what it would take to put this building in shape, start giving it some character.
The neighborhood opposition, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I mean, you have major opposition.
Ma'am?
among the homeowners.
Okay, outside of you folks coming here tonight, excuse me, could I finish? Outside of you folks coming here tonight, I have not had one negative comment. I've had a lot of positive comments that the town owns the building, it's the right financial choice. They're thrilled to death that the police are going to be closer to the schools and closer to downtown. I understand your concerns, okay? But excuse me. I'll give you an opportunity to speak when I finish. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. You know, I understand your concerns, and I understand that you, well, excuse me, the gentleman behind you has the floor, the gentleman in blue shirt. Whatever, brief.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
As far as the alternative locations, the Rite Aid building, as I understand it, was mixed because of a faulty statement that came to the committee regarding whether or not the town can take in lease money.
Sublease. They can lease, they can't sublease was the problem.
No, the issue is we can't just simply buy more property than we need and then just sublease it.
Don't you
When you
sublease
rent-
property right now in the armory?
Are we what? Say that again, I'm sorry.
Sublease property in the armory
Yeah, we didn't buy that.
right now.
You did buy it.
Symbolic transfer, you bought it in a dollar.
For $1, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Well,
correct.
that's fine. That
That's a
has to
legal
happen.
point.
No, that's wrong.
Good
Very
thought.
right.
In other words, you're in violation of your own laws if your laws pertain to what you said.
Okay, excuse me, folks. We are not going to start arguing points of law at a board meeting,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. There are other possible locations besides the Rite Aid building, that the idea that the armory is centrally located. The armory is hidden away. You're going to have signs all over the place to get people from downtown to that location in the armory. That is not central. That's actually out of the way. The problems that the Rite Aid location would have solved would have been to put the police right where the vandalism and so on and the crimes are taking place, and they would be there on the same street. That problem is not met at all by secreting the police away in the Armory building. By getting, that actually gets them very much out of the way. The proponents of that want the police to be on top of the school children. I think there are as many people who are concerned with the school and who are school officials who are not happy with that kind of situation.
Excuse me, I
don't
spoke-
think that's an argument.
Excuse me, I spoke with the superintendent of schools yesterday, and we briefly touched on this subject, and he had no objections.
We've heard
We were told.
Well, I spoke, then I guess I'm lying to you, okay? And I spoke to him yesterday, personally, and that was the conversation, so I just, I understand your issues, and I understand your concerns. I can't tell you that they're going to get resolved here tonight. I'd be happy to meet with any of you. If you want to come to the office and continue the discussions, that's fine. But I just, excuse me, young gentleman over here has been trying to get a word in.
I'm going to be quick, I won't be too long.
That's fine.
Has there been a feasibility study?
Could we have your name, please?
I'm sorry, my name is Joe Jordan, I'm also a resident.
Okay.
I feel very much the same issues are concerning to me.
Hmm?
Has there been a feasibility study done?
No.
Not a formal feasibility.
No.
So when you talk discussions, it's hard to discuss with the greater town if there aren't like facts to be
That's
basically
correct.
discussed. So you're going to do a traffic study?
Yes.
How about in a cost analysis?
That's what
Absolutely.
AES will do. for
Okay,
us.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
Yes, AES will do that for us, yes.
Okay, and how about, so that you talked about the armory being centrally located in the town, right? Geographically.
Yes.
But in terms of the calls that are made to the police department, where does the police, because in most towns, and I came from a small town, which is now a lot larger now, usually centrally is I guess a relative term, right? The fire department, the police departments, a lot of times they're in the same house in the same building like you were looking at.
We were looking at that. yes.
Right, so I don't know if that was looked at in a feasibility study for the Rite Aid building, is that correct?
No, that was looked at putting it on the highway property. Highway and police building combination. AES put together a full architectural design for that. It came in at around 3.2 million.
But what about the fire department? Centrally locating it with the fire department on Montcalm, or on Montcalm Street, or, to be in a place where they can easily get access to any aspect of the town. When you're located at, the Armory, it doesn't seem, especially, I understand that your points were before, they're going to leave on Champlain side.
Okay, one issue with joining with the fire department. The fire department is a separate taxing authority in the town, and you start getting into shared entities with two different taxing authorities. Who pays for this? Who pays for that? Which group of taxpayers pays for this? Which group of taxpayers pays for that? And it gets very cumbersome and very, very difficult to manage. Very difficult to manage.
And we looked at that. The property that they have didn't really accommodate what, the police were going to need and they were going to need for space, especially with the equipment they have now is so large. They want to drive through bays, and we were having trouble accommodating that on the property that they had.
Yeah.
But a drive-through bay is going to be part of the Armory plan?
No. This is what, we looked at the fire department. We actually looked at that, okay? That is one of the options we had looked at. We really have been racking our brains trying to do something with this police station. And
You're constrained by a lot of issues.
Yes.
I understand that. I understand. It just, it'd be nice to be able to look at a fact sheet, I guess, because
Yes.
speculation can only, lead to
well,
more
we
and more.
can't do this without the correct studies.
Right,
We're
okay.
going to have an
So-
architect come in and design this. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm listening to this conversation, I have no dog in the fight here, but didn't we pay our foundry to do a feasibility study?
To do a feasibility study on that building? At
No,
No.
for all the properties. Well, I know we paid our foundry, I was here when they did it.
Yes.
And I seen the.
You mean, do
But
they have
not-
dimensions of the...
Not for a police department
Not for a
building.
police station?
No,
Well, that was
no,
to
it
go
was
into the highway.
A building, for the.
Yes,
they assessed
that's the
all
3.2 million I'm talking about, for the
It's
police,
gonna
I'm
go
talking
to
about police and
highway.
highway building.
But they did not make a recommendation?
They did for...
They said to put it on the highway department property.
Oh, okay, I know they paid $70-something thousand.
At the end of the day, the taxpayers have to pay for this thing.
Well, I know, okay, but
But
that's what I was
concerned.
study too, from,
It has, we're going apples and oranges when you...
Yeah, I read the study, Bill.
The thing,
That study, Tracy, that study had absolutely nothing to do with the use of the maintenance building as a
No,
police
you're right,
building.
you're absolutely right about that.
And that's what this gentleman wants us to do.
Okay.
So are
And
you-
that's what we're going to
You're
do.
going, okay.
Yeah.
So so before you move forward, that's part of the timeline in terms of,
Absolutely.
okay, and I know
and we
you,
could
I
have
mean,
as many
if
public
the
hearings.
feasibility studies come back that this is not the thing to do, obviously, we're not going to
well,
do
then,
it.
so basically, what you're speaking of is an idea that you're pushing forward.
Yes.
Yes.
But, okay, right, it wasn't, in the paper, it wasn't clear, and that's, but I've never come to a meeting before here, so I don't know.
If
But we're glad you're here.
If you
Everybody's here.
get, if you get more familiar with the papers in the area, you'll find a lot of things get printed that
Well,
way.
I understand.
And,
Okay,
and in terms of the feasibility study, it will look at all the things, like the kind of issues been raised here today.
Oh, yeah.
It'll look at traffic patterns, it'll look at lighting,
Historic district also.
what's
We're
that?
talking about a historic district.
Right.
designated
So
with
it, but the
national
feasibility study will touch on all that.
And also that, will it illustrate the needs of what the police department is? Just to do a side-by-side comparison of whatever places you've looked at, because, you know, I haven't actually been to this department. When I first came here, I didn't really know where it was at. And, you know, have since learned where it's at, but I haven't actually been there. So, you know, it is kind of.
It's hidden away on Mount Hope
I
Hill
know,
right now. We're going to hide it away in the armory.
Boyne is
That's
not a
okay.
main artery of town, Booker Street and Montcalm. So that's why, you know, to me, it's kind of, you would think you'd want to have that, a prominent location so that people know, you know, this is, you know, the body that's, you know, keeping the area safe.
Well, there's a
That's all.
big sign right now in front of the armory that says Ticonderoga Armory Community Center.
No, I'm not talking about there. I'm talking about.
We're going to hang out, we're going to put another little one underneath that says police with an arrow, and, you know, I think we'll be good, Jim.
Okay. Well, I-
We've looked at a lot, yeah.
No, I'm sure you
We've looked
have.
at a lot of
Yeah.
this. This has not been an easy task.
This is not an easy job.
We don't know that it's finished yet.
Yeah,
I
this
mean, we
is-
thought the Rite Aid was going to be the answer, and that ended up not working out for us, so.
Just because of the subleasing issue. Was that that was the main thing, right?
Yes, it's the way the town would have needed to use the building, it would have been against the law for them to
Yeah.
do it.
So we couldn't use 80% of it and sublease
No.
another.
Exactly.
Well, how about, and I don't know, I wasn't involved, but right now, and my recollection is that the DMV maybe would have been a shared tenant.
Yeah.
Now, we can house the DMV here, do they pay us anything?
They certainly do.
Well, and so,
It's not a prohibition against leasing.
uh-huh,
That wasn't the issue. You can't just go affirmatively buy property with the intent that you're just going to surplus it. You see what I mean?
so.
Because that's what you would do.
You have to
And that's the difference
use-
between the armory and this.
You have
You
to-
didn't get the armory with the intent to immediately surplus it.
No.
It was
So
It was part of the state. It
if
eventually
we were
became
to purchase a piece of property, we have to use 100% of it. We can't say we're going to sublet 20%.
That's speculative.
Like, for example, if we needed 2 acres, right, and somebody had 4, we could buy the 4 and sell the 2 off. Subdivide it, have them sell it. That's not a problem. We looked into that. It's us buying more than we need. That's where we run into issues.
So
It's a fiduciary issue with the town.
could you co-op a building like that, for
There
example?
were, all those discussions were had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To answer you, yes.
But it's
DMV was talked about,
$700,000-$800,000 worth of taxable property that will come out for it.
so
Well, we can talk about that a little bit later, too.
Yeah.
things like that were talked about, yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
Co-op, a friend co-op, I think somebody talked about. Yeah.
Can you just list the places that were looked at in town?
Just off the top of my head, they probably know better than me, the Rite Aid building,
Okay.
the old NIMO building next to Valenti's Funeral Home,
That is now with the chamber.
yeah, where the chamber is, the back of that building was looked at. What were some of the
The
other ones, guys?
hospital
There was-
Pavilion at the hospital.
The hospital pavilion.
Hospital pavilion was
Hospital
looked at.
pavilion,
Yeah,
We
downstairs.
were looking at this space without.
Downstairs in the armory.
downstairs here.
Yeah.
We were talking about making this long room here, out here, a police station with an entrance out on the Montcalm, down.
And why didn't that work? I'm curious about that because it seems
Well,
so
it was,
central
there was
location.
people,
Structure and desirability.
historic register,
Same with the armor. The armor's
dark,
historic
dark,
register.
no windows was an issue that I had heard. And again, it came down to dollars and cents at the time,
A lot of it.
you know, which, Because like I told Bill, I said, just moving the radios was $15,000 just for the wiring. That's,
No,
No,
I'm glad you asked.
just want to be informed, that's all.
Excuse me, we'll take one more, Mr.
Oh,
Barnhart.
I have a question too.
Well, we're gonna take one more. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate to come down and see me. I'm here
I would like to ask.
about every day.
I would like to ask you, it's quick, I'm sorry.
You mentioned a $3.2 million price tag.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I know being in the school district for years, we've done a lot of bonds and
Yes.
things like
That's
that.
what we're looking at doing.
Why would you not at least put it forth to the voters and let the voters decide on that?
There's a limit to what you can bond. The other thing is in Ticonderoga, it's coming very quickly to the point, do you want to spend your bonding ability on a police department building, or do you want to drink water in the morning and night when you...
We have a big issue coming with water, we have a big issue coming with the sewer plant, with work that Tracy needs done there. We have a lot of money hitting the taxpayers. I guess that's what I was thinking through this whole thing, and I understand what you're saying, but how do we do this and try to finesse this through financially, where I'm not putting an additional burden on the taxpayers? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Quickly. Yes.
Yes, you said earlier that you have something to the effect that you have found out that the use of the armory property was permissible. Can you tell me how that decision came about?
The person...
That came from Senator Little's office.
Yeah.
Senator Little has approved your plan?
Her office indicated that to use the maintenance building for a police building is compatible with the state of New York's deed.
Was that Senator Little herself?
Yes.
Okay.
When Alfondre came in to do the specs on the buildings, they had done quite a few other communities. They have converted armory buildings into police stations in other communities in New York State. So there is a precedent set. We just have to see how the deed is written, okay? That was the other thing that, I need to pursue the exact, but most of these deeds, when the armories were turned over the same way in New York State.
You don't, I wouldn't think you're going to take my word for something, but there was a lot of concern. There is a story in Ticonderoga, which is not uncommon to have stories in Ticonderoga, but there's a story that says the entire use of the armory has to be for recreational purposes, and that is not accurate. And that is what Senator Little checked out for us. We were concerned about that. I mean, we certainly wouldn't, we certainly...
Not limited to children. Is that what you
Pardon?
said? Senator Little told you that the use of the armory was not limited to using for children.
That is not what I
Is that
said.
what you said?
No, I said recreation.
So I'm sorry, yes, and that's what you said.
Yes, it is not limited to recreation.
It's not, right, I agree, it's not limited,
Okay.
but it also doesn't permit.
That's an opinion. You can take that up with her in the state of New York.
We may have to
That's fine.
legally,
That's fine.
because...
That's fine, because I'm going to go, obviously, I've got a responsibility to people here also, and I try and do my homework, and what I gather for information, I don't throw out glibly. I like to know that I'm talking about something factually, and when I tell you that that's the information I got, that's the best information I could get. Now, if you come up with something that contradicts that and you can prove it, I'll be the first one to say so. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming in.
And again, if you discover things that you want to bring in and talk about, I'm here every day, but Monday morning, I'm usually at county. But other than that, I'm here. And I'd be happy to talk with you. You're welcome.
In the state constitution, it says
You're welcome.
the state will not come in direct competition with the public.
Topsy,
What they do to it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we should get the pledge.
They're not supposed to, but they do.
I thought we just did.
Start this over.
I thought we just did. Moving right along. We'll go to resolutions to accept or correct the minutes of the regular and special meetings.
I got a, are you talking about
Excuse me.
financial meeting also?
Yes.
I got a question about that. Read one of those resolutions. It says in here that the town water main was froze for Mr. Burrow on Lake George Avenue. That's not, the main was not froze. I know-
No, the main wasn't froze, his
Okay,
line was froze.
The way it reads, the main was froze. I just wondered.
Yeah, street.
I know it's probably minor, but
It should, yeah, that ought to change. I didn't pick it up.
Well, that's what you said in the meeting, is I re-listened to it when you talked about it.
You didn't listen to me, did you?
And it's right on their bill.
It says the town ended up thawing this line as it was not frozen in the yard, but under the road.
under the road, that's correct.
That's correct.
No, but not, the main wasn't frozen. I guess I'm getting,
So I wanted Tracy to make sure you brought that up in this meeting, so you go in the minutes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Wayne was not here for the informational meeting, and Dave was not here for the end of the month meeting, so you can either do that.
Well, it's a good thing I got a couple board members that come every once in a while, you know?
Yeah, even though I'm sick, because you made me that way.
I didn't, Carla did it.
Carla did it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain.
Thank you. A resolution to approve the supervisor's monthly financial
Oh,
report.
gosh. I don't think we ought to do that.
I'll move
right?
that.
Thank you.
I don't know who first and seconded the minutes. I guess I must have been chatty or thinking.
Chatty.
Yeah, I-
Chad and Chet, because they're the only two that can vote on it. Okay, we have a motion by Wayne. We have a second?
I'll second.
There we go. Any discussion?
I have a question, and I hope I haven't asked this before, but maybe I have. The Lachute Hydro, how much do we get a certain amount every year? Is it decreasing? What's,
Decreasing. It's calculated, it's, my understanding, it's calculated by the number of, how much water goes over the falls. So many cubic feet, the average flow across the falls. And it's based, the amount they pay varies depending on how much.
Specific questions like that that are going to go into real details of the financials probably ought to get asked during the day when the budget clerk is here. You know, obviously, it would be a lot easier to find the answers.
so do we get money every year, though?
Yeah,
Between $5,000 and $8,000 a year, I think.
somewhere in there.
Something like that. It varies.
Probably in your days, so
Old timer, yeah.
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A resolution to pay the bills?
So moved.
second.
Discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution authorizing the following budget amendments, a $65 increase to town board contractual A.1010.4 and miscellaneous income A.2770, receipt number 7169 on 4/6/15. And it's money received to offset travel expenses.
I'll make that.
Motion made by Fred. Any second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution authorizing the following interfund advances as per general municipal law 9.8 to be adopted for abstract 4-2015. Number one, from general to CP daylight streaming, age 49, $108. Funds will be reimbursed to the grant funds. From general to CP airport, age 17, $134,026.60. Those funds will be reimbursed with grant funds. From Water District 6 to Sheriff Airport, Water District SW09, $1,504.19, and those funds will be reimbursed with rents. Moved by Fred.
Second.
Second by Wayne. Questions or comments?
The $108 in daylight streaming, that's money we're going to receive, it'll be reimbursed by grants? That's coming? Yeah, if you get a grant.
Yeah.
If we get the grant. Okay, thank you.
And the $134,000 for the airport, what specific was that? That was.
That's the,
Excuse me.
Shoemaker?
Mr. Ismail.
I think that's for this.
That was Risnick?
I believe
Okay,
so.
we have one for Risnick and one for the map plan for Shoemaker, so two different things. Huh?
I don't think Shoemaker is in there.
Okay.
The master plan update is in there, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's part of
It
it.
doesn't come as part of it, okay, so that should, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution authorizing the following training, including registration, travel, and meal expenditures on the town credit card for Carla J. Vigliotti, the 15th Annual Town Finance School being held at Saratoga for May 7th and 8th, 2015.
Saratoga Springs.
Yes.
Second.
Discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution authorizing $829.75 withdrawal from the CR police equipment for the dog kennel. Money will be transferred to H45.3120.200.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We'll move to committees. Public Works. I know. We have sent forth our response to Department of Health on the basis of design report. We are in the process of putting together the cost of all the water and sewer freeze-up problems we've had this winter. We've discovered that there is a $50 million pot of state money that we may be eligible to secure some of that to help cover our expenses. Last time I looked, we were somewhere in excess of $40,000 in overtime materials and the rest of it. So it's been a bad winter. Hopefully we can get some of that back. The stream daylighting project is being worked on by our engineers to try and modify the proposal that we've put forth in a manner that will be acceptable to all concerned after our meeting with IP. I don't know if we had to report at the last meeting that we got the PRV money. I think everybody is made aware of it. But and the other thing is that we've been getting a lot of questions in the last 10 days in regards to the Chilson water main below the reservoir, which is another FEMA project. There's been a lot of communication with the state. And that, I can tell you, is on somebody's front burner big time. And we're getting them all the information they've been requesting just as fast as we can. it's all available. So hopefully that's going to be a quick turnaround. We may get to go to bid on that in the not too distant future.
And FEMA's going to fit the bill.
That's the intent, yes, sir.
And how much of that is that?
3 million, Tracy?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How
The-
much?
Water main
Still some water main.
2.1 million.
2.1,
Yeah, it's a chunk.
And that would be no interest loan or a grant or?
That's grant, that's FEMA.
That's the FEMA HMGP,
That's-
hazard mitigation, remove the transmission main out of the brook, it's in the brook bed right now.
Yeah.
Into an area where we can maintain
So that would be from the reservoir down to?
it. Down to the new PRV.
The new PRV pit.
which
That
is-
racetrack road.
racetrack.
That would be,
Yes.
that'd be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We're going to be scheduling a meeting on the Speedies permit in the very near future. We've got to get that squared away. If the board, any of the board would like to attend, we'll put it out on email when we're going to have the meeting. You know, if you want to come, and listen, that's fine. It'll be a work session with Tracy, Todd, maybe Jim Dugan and Mr. Fuller.
Tracy, can I ask him a question?
No.
Constitution is at the gate. Hey, Tracy, as far as the designation change in the Lachute River from a 4D to a 4C or a 4...
No, it's gonna go, they're looking at, it hasn't been the word, I guess, promulgated yet, but it's gonna go from a D stream to a C stream.
C Street. Now, in terms of our Speedies permit, are we going to have additional clarifier capacity to be granted our permit? Will that be included? Upgrading our clarifiers, will that be any conditional?
Well, I believe they're writing the new speedies permit based on that change. They are. So everything that's going to be required to discharge, those seawaters will be in our new speedy.
But do you anticipate clarifiers upgrade?
I do.
Okay.
Maybe not so much for that as the stormwater, the infiltration problem, stormwater infiltration problem, and disinfection. And I know there's going to be a more strict phosphorus limit.
So
It's in the draft.
That's in the draft, that's what's looking out.
chlorinate the effluent?
It'll probably be
Phosphorus
UV,
abatement?
actually.
Okay.
How much property you have over there? You put a lot of wood.
Basically, where the pipe bridge comes across here,
Yeah.
east to the river and to the bridge, and I don't know if that's subdivided from the park, I believe it is, but
Okay.
Just curious, because
you're
you're going to be adding
the
some
clarifiers are.
Yeah. They're big, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of that goes underwater, right? I mean, when the Champlain floods, a lot of that,
Yes.
To the-
Oh, yeah, that's all, where the whole
Yeah.
transports are, that all floods.
that would rinse out the clarifiers.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. That's all, Chief. That's all.
Just trying to help. Thank you.
That's all I had for Public Works. Any other questions? Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Leano.
Okay. We met on the 17th, and Chatty put together a fantastic report. I'm just going to overview some of the stuff that are affecting us now. The bid documents from Alfondre are in again. Bill and I haven't had a chance, since they were done, we needed more work done on them. And they're here, we need to kind of fine tune that. Quotes for converting the Armory heating fuel from oil to propane are being obtained. We have one bid in, we have one quote in. We'd like to go out to bid on this thing and look at switching this thing over to propane. This would do away with the underground oil tanks, and I'd like to move forward with bidding. We're going out to the process of bid of removing the underground oil tank at the Armory. We're shooting for July and August when that thing's shut down and not being used by kids. So I'm going to need to move forward now to get that done in time. So it's going to be over $5,000. I know we have it in, our Alfondre spec in our budget, but I want to make sure the board knows that I'd like to move forward with this and make sure it's okay with everybody.
Is that a line item, or is that coming out of the the money was covered over in your
That
capital
money was
reserve?
set aside in a 324,000. to
Okay,
do
so
that.
it's in that-
That's in the reserve,
Okay.
yes,
You need a resolution for it.
yes.
I'll make a resolution for it.
I thought Dave just did.
Yeah,
Oh.
I made the resolution, but I need a
I'll
second.
second it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
In-
Just a comment, it's great to start seeing things get finished.
Yeah, definitely.
There's been a lot of hard work done, and it's appreciated.
Thank you.
As far as the 5,000 would be just to remove the tank?
Oh, no, it's going to be over 5,000.
It'll be.
By the time we pump that thing, remove it, dispose of it, DEC will come in and check the property, make sure there is no infiltration into the soil at that point. I believe with the propane tanks, you fill it with sand and whatever it takes to go around the underground tanks we're going to put in there, which also leaves us more room for handicap parking and the lift we want to put in for the seniors that Sharon already has money for. That money's there. So that opens up that space too.
Good.
So the propane tanks will be buried tanks?
Yes, buried tanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. We also, Sharon is working on the environmental information for the CDBG accessibility grant, which is the $100,000 for the Army and Community Building. This is for the lift and for the automatic doors. We talked about Senator Betty Little providing $100,000 to the town in working with relocating the police department. Carla's going to obtain quotes for security cameras at the town facilities. We had a great meeting with the Y up there on different things, and we're looking at security cameras at the Armory, we're looking at the airport, and we've had discussion on the beach. I tried to do this a couple years ago. We had some pushback on it, but I'd like to bring it up again in light of the fact that somebody drowned out there and nobody knows why. It would have been nice to have an idea of what happened out there. I know it was accidental, but, you know, we just need something, you know, as a town. But we can talk about that. The beach has always been something that people had a little reluctant to us putting cameras out. We promised not to monitor them. Significant discussion took place, okay, regarding the possible amendment of the town's use of facility policy. Are you going to visit on that? Okay. And this is the application to allow certain licensed and insured vendors to serve food and alcohol at events at the park. Our town attorney is working on this. John Bartlett was going to do a little more research. I didn't know where John was on that, but our next meeting with Buildings and Grounds, there's more in here, so there's a lot to read, folks, if you get time to go what we're doing with Buildings and Grounds. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 14th at 10 a.m. here in the community building. Thank you.
Quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
We're going to put the advertisement out to bid to remove the underground tanks at the Army, but are we also advertising them to install, or is that something separate?
We're going to bid the propane, yes, and separately.
Okay, so you don't want to do that tonight, you just want to advertise for this to remove the tanks?
Well, we probably should do both.
That's not-
We probably should have everything ready to go, right? We remove it, DEC approves it, then we go right back in with the propane tanks and bury them and get that property covered, because we have a big hole in the ground. That tank is huge.
So do you want to pass a resolution to advertise for bids to install propane tanks?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Everybody
Patty
said-
seconded?
Everybody did. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any bid documents?
Specs?
That was my question.
Good question.
And are you going to bid to own the tank, or do you want to lease them?
No, we want to
Oh, no.
own them.
Okay, so you're going to bid to own
Yes.
tanks? Yeah, I don't have any bids. Bid specs.
Yeah,
I almost-
I'll find right on the tank to remove and install the tank is what we initially told them. So we have the removal part of the tank. Now, to come back in with propane, no.
We're going to need that.
Yeah. Yes, Tanya will be all over you. People have been wondering what they're bidding on.
Let's
I can't put it out.
let's postpone the propane until
Okay.
Do they give you removal bid?
Yeah, if I have removal bids, yeah, right, in that packet.
So just,
Should be,
We have that, right? Yeah.
I think.
Yes, we have
Should be.
removal and replacement of the 8,000 gallon tank as part of the bid specs from our foundry. That was one of the first things we wanted from them.
But it didn't,
They're
that we were,
bidding it that way, they're bidding to remove and replace.
Well, they were going to replace with oil.
They were replacing back with an oil tank, and we don't want to do
it was a
that.
propane.
So we're just going to bid to remove.
We had everybody from the DEC suggesting that we go to propane.
So
Mulvey says he wants to be out of the business of oil with the town of Ticonderoga everywhere he can be. And it seemed like a good idea.
It is.
Cleanliness-wise, for many reasons that he suggested and other people have suggested.
So would it be a good idea to hold the other bid until we have bid specs for
The
propane?
financial meeting. yeah.
Because we really should be advertising for both at the same time, it would seem.
Not necessarily.
Well, you don't want to sit there with a big hole for...
It's different people that
Well-
work with the oil, remove the tank, than put the propane tanks in.
Right.
Some are the same company, but most of them are totally different
Most will be
companies.
different.
Just seems like you want the other one to be ready to go in as soon
Yes,
as
we do.
the hole is taken out.
have you
So
stopped
timing-
delivering on your fuel so they don't refill it?
Yeah, well, Charlie's monitoring it. We've got it really low, and we're going to keep it really low. We can get small deliveries of fuel, and that's what we're doing right now, to keep it as low as we can.
I believe if you put into your contract or whatever that, they have to work together because this has to go together. One comes out, the other goes in.
Yeah.
Within a certain presentable time.
Yeah, I don't think they'll put the propane tanks in until the other tank's removed.
True, but in other words, it comes out.
Yeah.
DEC checks it, and if it's okay, then you can drop your,
Yeah.
Just so that there isn't a big lag
How big
between.
was the
Right.
propane tank again?
2 1,000.
2 1,000s.
yeah.
Will run us just about a month.
Which-
At the coldest season.
Yeah.
And you compare it?
Yes.
Get just a little
Yeah.
pot like that, sticks above the ground.
They're 16 foot by 4 foot.
Do we have emergency power in that building? We must. It must be.
No.
We don't.
No.
So is it designated an emergency shelter?
Yes.
Dave? Now where they fill that, is that also in the bid to where they're going to put a guard around it so nobody can run into it or something? That might be something you want to check into.
Yep. Put a bollard or something around, well, there's only going to be a fill station.
We're going to need,
Yes.
That's up on the hill, I mean.
that spec has got to be written,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
The spec
Right.
has got to include the necessary items
Right.
that go with it.
See, they put bollards around mine at home, and it's just,
It's all the safeties that have to
yeah.
be considered.
So the bid spec is going to be wrote by AES or Alfondre? Something to talk about at a later date?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too much later. So you did a first and second to advertise for bids to install propane tanks.
So we're going to back out of that. Yeah, we'll table it.
So are you going to rescind?
The first one.
Excuse me.
To install the propane tanks?
Yes.
Chad, you rescind your
Well,
second?
what do you mean rescind to install the propane tanks? We got to get a bid on them, yes, but that's the route
We could-
we're going. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what you put up for resolution was to advertise for bids to install the propane tanks.
Okay. That, we
Now you're not
need to
gonna do
table
that.
that.
Can we just table it, or do we have to rescind it?
Probably better for if you rescind it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because then she'd have to remember what number of resolution you come back to.
yeah.
Okay.
To answer your question, yes, you could table it, but Robert's
Table it after you
rules,
rescind it.
you'd have to do it.
Let's rescind.
Let's take my pen back. You need me here. Okay.
So you got to give me the specs for the first.
You and I need to visit pretty quick on that one, then, huh?
Yes. We commented in the beginning of the meeting that we were thinking about going to AES to see about getting design done on the Armory building.
Yeah,
Their initial price was
yeah.
32, I think.
We'll visit in the morning on this.
All right.
Let's do that. 'Cause so, next meeting is the 14th at 10 a.m. here.
Next Tuesday.
Yep. Coming up. By then, we'll know what we're doing.
You're on a roll. Airport.
Okay. We didn't have a meeting with the airport, but we did get, we did go out to bid for the fuel, and we did get the bid back, a bid back.
You're going to award the bid to, what did you say,
Eastern Aviation.
Eastern Aviation.
I'd like to award the fuel bill at the airport to Eastern Aviation.
Have a markup of .0805 over rack.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. That's airport.
That's it?
That's it for, we didn't have a meeting. So.
Okay, I got one other item to bring up on the airport. Well, the town has been contacted, Town Highway was contacted by a firm that is installing weather stations
Yep.
that apparently have nothing to do with the FAA. And some things were getting put ahead of themselves that, you know, we were on the verge of granting this firm permission to go on the airport grounds and do that. And one of the gentlemen on the airport committee caught it and has put the brakes on.
Not a good idea.
We don't, you know,
No.
I don't know that we can accommodate this company with that site. I mean, if they want to use, there's other sites in the town that they
Yeah.
possibly could use. There's probably some enough property on at the ID park to do it, but, you know, it's not appropriate for the airport.
They were talking about the southwest side, and that's going to be, you know, where you've got the problem with the trees and everything.
Yeah,
That would
we
probably,
have, completely around the airport, we have a problem with trees.
Right,
Trees.
yeah.
The GPS approaches have to be clear in all directions where
Right.
airplanes are coming in at night using GPS. So
I
if you
think
throw a
that-
tower out there, you shut down all the approaches to the
I
airport.
think that would be
Yeah.
something.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
Since we just got permission from all the landowners to take these trees down, so we have these approaches.
I know.
Yeah.
From everybody gave us permission, so. We also have, I guess, I can visit with Matt on the Wisnick thing, that was the additional amount of money that's something I should go over with Matt. Is that okay?
Yeah?
Because I don't know how Shoemaker takes that project and how to do that project, but, okay, I'll visit with Matt about that
Yeah.
after the meeting.
Don't quit now. How about highway?
Highway, okay. Highway met on the 26th, 8:30 a.m. Again, we have a pretty good report on this. I'm going to highlight just a few things that went on. We do have the crews from Mariah Shop doing a lot of work in town, including the airport with trees, helping us out there. The repair budget, we talked a lot about outsourcing repairs versus the mechanic in the shop, and we have been outsourcing repairs so far. It's been working pretty good for us, so. The hot box, we talked about a purchase of $37,000 as opposed to renting it for $2,400 a month. I think Bill and I both thought that renting it was a better idea. By the time we pay for it, it'll be shot, and we'll be, you know, we're renting a new piece of machinery. We just got to get ahead on it for next year to make sure this thing is here when we need it, for the 2 months we need it, but it worked out great renting it, I think.
What does the hot box?
Tracy, what do you think about that?
It's puts in.
We're good, Dave.
Is rent
Instead of just
okay?
putting in
You know,
cold patch,
$37,000 would be split
potholes,
three ways. Is that,
where we had
do you want to do
excavation
that?
for the water lines and stuff. It's a heater.
Yeah, okay.
You put the cold patch into it,
Seems to work
heat it
well.
up, and it goes in a lot more efficiently. and
Maybe we
effectively.
should have a discussion, Derek, you and Highway, about what months you want it rented for, and we'll plan ahead for next year to make sure it's available when we need it. I just want to say that I just heard on the radio, January, February, and March were the coldest in 100 years in the Northeast. Water, sewer, and highway have done a tremendous job on these breaks. I mean, half the time, we don't know who the breaks are, who's involved, who has, and these guys just go in and fix them. I mean, these guys have just been great this winter with this stuff. And it's been a problem. It has been, it's still a problem. Drive down Wicker Street.
Well,
It's
January isn't over yet, is it? I mean, it looked like it when I got it.
It wasn't this morning.
Spring is killing me, yeah. So, we have been talking about the hot box. Weight limit signs are posted throughout the town. I don't think that affects most of our people driving cars. And we're talking a little bit about, we're going to do the town-wide cleanup again, okay? We're going to get a little bit up on this. We got a little messed up last year, so the town-wide cleanup is, we're shooting for May 16th, okay? Highway to pick up curbside. Yeah, they're going to pick up curbside on the 15th? Is that what that is?
Yeah, Friday,
Okay.
on a Friday.
So the cleanup's going to be on the 15th. Yeah, this has two different dates on it. Sorry.
There's,
Yeah,
the
right.
15th and 16th are cleanup days for the chamber.
Why don't you do this thing, Bill? Because this thing is saying highway to pick up curbside May 15th only for white goods, furniture, carpet, and it has to be out by 6 a.m. Absolutely no tires, garbage, recyclables, and we're going to start advertising now about it.
Yes,
Okay?
you got it.
So,
The town, downtown, the cleanup projects that the chamber does and whatnot, and I believe they're going to have electronics and pick up again this year,
I think so.
will be Saturday the 16th.
okay.
But the town will be out on the 15th, and the 15th only. And it needs to be on the street at 6 in the morning. So unless you're an early riser, you may want to put it out the night before.
Yes.
But
And this is one day. This is going to happen one time.
one day,
Yes.
one time, no changes.
Okay. Our next meeting is going to be April 30th. There's a lot more going on. It's here in the report, and you can read it online, right, Tanya? This is all online. Our next meeting will be Thursday, April 30th at 8:30 a.m. Thank you. I'm sorry, Phil.
You're going to award the traffic light being bid to Atlantic Pavement Marking in the amount of $9,650.
Yes.
So moved.
We have a second?
That's the fellow who paints the stripes and crosswalks.
It's a little high from last year, isn't it?
Moved and seconded.
We added a whole other parking lot this year.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was kind of question about that. So it does include the crosswalks?
Yes.
And those are white lines, it's not that red,
Right.
okay? And what part, it's a parking,
Behind the Tiger Factory, behind that parking lot.
oh, great, great, good,
That way people will get the idea that it is public parking.
yeah. Well, at a TMSP meeting last night, they were talking about that, and they also, TMSP is working on signage so that people know there's public parking behind there.
That's good.
They also asked if the Elks lot could be
Next year.
next year.
That's what you guys just supposed to.
We're trying to get it in our budgets, but Highway, we pushed their budget this year. So. But yes, we're going to look at that for next year.
Elks next year, great.
Who seconded, I'm sorry.
I moved it. Who seconded that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Your next bid is to award the dirt bid for one bidder, Pat Armstrong. I can read all of these, but they'll be listed in the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to read more.
so award Armstrong.
I'll move
dirt
it.
and gravel.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Got me covered? Thank you. Okay, Bill.
Mr. Taylor?
Thanks, Bill. The emergency services met on March the 30th, and there was a little glitch with our minutes. The minutes didn't come over. The person that generally puts them up had a sick child. So at any rate, I'm just going to hit on some of the highlights here. I would like to formally recognize that we have had a retirement of Milford Buzz Palmer, who formally announced his resignation as our dog control officer. His last day of work was last Sunday, April the 5th. The dog control position will be available, but if anyone has any suggestions, this is a position that the Ticonderoga Police Department and the Public Safety Committee thanks Buzzy for his service. And on that note, I'd like to rescind my resignation, my resolution number 95. to advertise for the combined DCO, ACO position.
Fred, you seconded, so you have to rescind your second, please.
Okay, I'll rescind it.
And then we would also, I would move that we could do,
Hold on, you gotta do an all in favor to rescind.
okay.
Was I there when that thing was voted?
Any comments or questions?
Why you rescinded it?
Because we're going to go with a dog control officer only, not a dog animal.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Can I abstain from that?
And then I would also like to offer a resolution to fill, to advertise for a dog control officer position at the salary for the
Salary of $5,306.
$5,306.
So moved.
No benefit.
No benefits.
You seconded, Dave?
Yeah.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
You know what we just did, Jeff?
What happens to the other position? What happens to the other position?
It's going to be on hold right now.
Chief Johns updated the committee that Patrolman Engineer and K-9 Tusco left this morning for the first session of training at the Academy in Syracuse. Chief Johns feels that Tusco has all the traits that the police department and the town of Ticonderoga were looking for in a K-9. Tusco has exceptional social skills and will have no problem meeting the public when that time comes. Patrolman Tusco will return in 2 months to begin work. Lastly, Chief Johns wants the committee to be aware of a problem that could incur in the future. The way the law is written states that a defendant has the right to a lawyer at every step of their legal battle. This means that each defendant will have the right to have a public defender at the time of arraignment, which has not happened in the past. It is unclear at this time if this is going to become a requirement. It's definitely something that is being looked at very closely. Most public defenders in this area live in the Lake Placid area, which require at least a 2-hour waiting time for their arrival before the person could be arraigned. Again, just to flesh that out, it may mean that we will have to hold these people potentially for extended periods before the public defender will get here. So it's something that's going to have to be solved at a higher level. But technically, they're our responsibility until the judge commits them to the county sheriff, to the jail. And so we have to come up with a solution here. So anyway, they just wanted to raise that point to make sure that it was on the radar, that everyone knows that there may be more coming.
So when is that going to be effective?
I don't know if I have a date, Chai.
I don't think there's one been set yet, has there, Chief?
May I talk?
Go ahead. Proceed forward.
Yep, unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion between the Magistrates Association and District Attorney's Office and the Public Defender's Office right now, where we are encountering that problem right now, where the public defenders are looking to be present at any arraignments. And just in the last week and a half, 2 weeks of the arrests that we've made, where we look for an arraignment, they have been sending representatives to those arraignments. And we've been having those defendants for extended periods of time, just to kind of have that representation now.
What is an extended period of time?
It could be where normally it's just a matter of us contacting a local magistrate from here or Crown Point or Spring Lake on misdemeanor charge, or any judge in the county and saying, okay, we're on our way. Was our previous practice. Now it could be 3-4 hours that an officer has a defendant. Just unfortunately, we don't have holding cell. We have the defendant handcuffed to a wall for 3 or 4 hours waiting for his legal representation. The day is going to come when we won't be able to get that defense attorney and the magistrate will refuse to arraign that subject because really we haven't crossed that bridge yet, but I'm sure down the road, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have an issue getting an arraignment, and it's going to have to wait until 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
So technically, you're saying that holding cell is what we're looking for eventually?
My preference is, I've always been an advocate of not having a holding cell based on how we used to do work, but it might be a discussion that we might have with architects and the
because you just can't.
So is that officer out of pocket while that guy sits there for 5 hours waiting for a public defender? Because that officer has to stay with that.
Yes, we're paying overtime because the officer on duty makes the arrest. We can't leave the town bare, so we have to call another officer in at an overtime rate to cover complaint work in the town. So we are going to incur overtime costs for this.
Can the drug dog watch him?
Hey, put the dog on guard.
Just one last comment is there's different certifications. Police officers are very highly trained. It's a 6-month program to gain a certification as a police officer. The level of certification someone needs to watch a prisoner in holding is a correction officer level, which is a much abbreviated level of training. If down the road in budget workshops, we may talk about possibly having 2 different types of officers, corrections and police officers within the staff.
Could we use like off-duty correction guards to do something like that?
They hold a New York State certification as a correction officer, absolutely, and the corrections officers tend to get paid less money than the people who are employed as police officers.
Anyway, but that's just an FYI, that is on the radar, and
Thank you, Chief.
That was a big lawsuit with the ACLU.
Yeah.
They picked off, Washington County was one of them. They picked off like 7 counties and sued them all for this reason. They wanted to push representation at a random. So that was the goal. And now all of the unintended consequences are, which everybody knew, were flowing out. Our firm, actually, our prior firm, defended Washington County, and that was the ACLU's goal.
yeah. But we had looked at that before, as far as having our old Holman cell, and I mean, it had to meet the DCJS specifications, video monitoring, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was really, it would be cost.
Essex County hires public defenders, right?
Yes.
Can we have one that lives in Ticonderoga that works in Essex County? Yeah?
That would be up to.
I mean, and that way they could just come over and handle that since they live here?
I just wrote a note for myself to
I mean, come on.
make some inquiries in the morning.
There's got to be a way to get around this. That's crazy.
Okay, and lastly, we did, the chief did bring up, as far as, we were talking about having a chaplain, and this, it wouldn't be an appointment of the board, it would be the board to acknowledge and just recognize, it's like a ceremonial position where the department would have a chaplain. Pastor Charles Bolstrich of the Cornerstone Alliance Church down here has volunteered to do this, and basically would be, like I said, to assist in, just to help out in whatever way you could. If you guys want some time to talk about it, think about it, we can bring it up again at the financial meeting in the middle of the month.
It's not a paid position.
It's an unpaid position, may require a little bit of
Volunteer.
training, 2 or 3 days.
What's he doing?
If you have a tragic accident or whatever, he could go.
He could go with the officers to the notify the families and
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Can he watch prisoners? Hey, I'm trying. Come on. Maybe him and the dog together could do it. Come on.
We can see that coming.
From
We gotta
Dave,
get around
yes.
this, guys. Trying to help the
Dave,
police
yes.
department. Come on.
Slap him. Just slap him.
You're right where he was going.
Anyway, that's all I've got. Our next meeting will be the 27th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Chief. Board of Health, there's no report. Insurance,
No report.
contract negotiations, we'll have a brief discussion in executive session. Transfer station.
Have you heard anything from East, or Waste?
No, I have not, and that's my fault. I need to follow up with them, and I have not got caught up in the last week that I missed a bunch of.
I haven't done nothing either with this.
So you understand where I was at last week?
Oh, yeah.
They are on the agenda for, I don't know if I'll get there tomorrow, but definitely Tuesday. if not.
All right, appreciate that. I was going to try to get hold of the other one that you mentioned sometime. They're in here, around town and whatnot.
Ace.
Ace, yes, Ace. But I didn't do that, needless to say.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay.
All right. Economic development. Do you want to wait, Chatty? I've got the Bruce discussion coming up.
Sure.
So we'll do the attorney first, Mr. Fuller.
Sure. Just following up our Department of Health EPA stuff, April 15th is our next deadline. We got our quarterly report, which will be going out next week. I sent an email to Sue, so that's on everybody's radar. We did have a good meeting, I thought a good meeting last month with DEC on gooseneck, so hopefully we'll be following up with that. And Department of Health here pretty quick. Have you heard anything at all?
Nothing.
I haven't either. Probably just drop a little line out to him on that stuff.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I want them to know that we want to keep going on
Yeah,
that.
well, the EPA is crowding us,
Yeah,
so they need to respond. Ball's in their court.
yeah, I'll pop out a little email.
Yeah, we're trying to stay in compliance with the EPA.
Yeah.
In spite of not having a timeline.
The big thing we had, you asked for policies, basically just some rules and regs for use of alcohol at events in town. And we put together an application. Obviously, our hope is that you guys really take a look at it. You can cross things out in there. We obviously went with the throw the kitchen sink in there, and then we can dial it back as you guys see fit. And as Dave noted, it's longer than an actual off-premises liquor license with SLA, which is true, it is. But just kind of threw things in there to protect the town. The rules I thought were pretty straightforward. Pulled them actually off of some of the SUNY campuses when we pulled them. So if you went to do an event at one of the SUNY schools, that's where we kind of came up with the templates. But take a look at that, and even if you want to run it by the committee, I know that they were the ones that asked for it. But you can get those things put in when you want.
Could I run a copy of one of my off-premises liquor permit for an event that I would normally do?
Yeah, that'd be great
Because
for information
I might be able to
purposes.
we might be able to just copy that and add a few things that the town needs. All that's on here. 90% of it, except my actual insurance, is on here. So if you want to see one that I do for the last one, then I make a second copy and give it to the town with a few things extra that you need. Maybe it'd be down to one page then. Okay.
We can talk about it Tuesday at the park.
There you go.
Yeah. And I'll bring one in filled out for one of the events I did, so you see what it looks like, as opposed to this, and maybe the town just has a one-page with the things that aren't on it that we require.
It's really the indemnification stuff that we want.
Yeah, so, but most of that's on here.
And also a recognition that if, the police department or if somebody from the town senses something that's going wrong, it's not one of those, well, the town can't do anything. It seems at times we get caught in that up here. You get somebody's putting something in the middle of the street and there's well, we can't really do anything about it. So I want to avoid that when you've got it in writing, that you can show up, and if that permit gets revoked, they're not going to come in here screaming saying we lost X dollars in alcohol sales because you revoked the permit. Well, there were 3 underage kids found within the fence. We pulled the permit. So that's, I envision a possibility like that, and that's what I'm trying to head off. Is somebody saying, well, you can't take my license, or I'm going to sue the town now because I had a license and I couldn't make money. That's not the intent of this thing.
I went over and I thought you'd hit everything.
There's a
pretty
difference
much.
between kids being in the fence
That's right.
and stripping alcohol in the fence, right?
While that public comment was going on here, I did mark up the,
Thank you.
so you want to pass that down to Fred. That's his youth commission stuff.
Well, so that's a good question. I saw in here, it asked about underage kids and are kids going to be allowed within the fence if there's alcohol?
No.
So even if they're with
Yes.
their parents?
Wait a second. So the parents are going in there and say, you kids go ahead out there and play by yourselves in the park. Well, no, parents are going to want their kids around them. They're not going to be able to drink, but
You been to SPAC?
Kids come in my restaurant.
That's just what I was thinking.
What do you say?
You been to SPAC?
Yeah.
Saratoga Performance Center? You gotta go in the tent. Kids
Period.
can't go in there. One of the parents outside and one parent goes, I get it's rough.
Any
but
of
I don't know that you want.
Any of the fairs in Vermont, anything like that?
Okay, because every job I do, kids are
I
in
know.
with parents.
That's
I mean,
different, though, right?
Every private job I
I don't know
do.
that that's a, I would agree, that would be a private at somebody's house. That would be a little bit different than over in the public or,
For the fairs, they don't let kids in the
yeah,
fairs.
very, very separate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should be conservative.
But it's your policy, Tom. I think you have to be very, very careful with that.
No, but you're right, it's different, you know,
Yeah.
you go out to dinner with your family.
Yeah,
and
it is.
you-
Yeah, there's
You
kids
have
in
a
my
drink at
restaurant.
the table, but.
Yeah.
Because even though it's not a town event, it may not be necessarily a town sanctioned event, there's still going to be that somewhat presumption of an authority because it's town property. So it's just a little bit different than private property. And I think that's where you got to be a little bit more careful.
Now in Hague, they have kids in with adults and that whole thing they do there at Oktoberfest.
That's fine. They can.
Gosh, you know, I can't,
I
well,
don't think we should.
yeah, I
That's your
don't,
call.
kids go there? Kids are,
Oktoberfest? Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
well, they aren't there at
Bill's
night,
here.
but during the day, I guess. Huh? But they don't have.
We bring kids in there, yeah.
He's. We got to move on. All right,
Okay. I'm wearing two hats here, I'm probably gonna get in trouble, so let's move on, you're right.
No, I have to have a discussion.
That it?
What else?
okay. Anything else for me?
None.
Nothing?
Let's go.
Oh. I've got some stuff listed here under miscellaneous. Not the least of which, Chatty sent us all an email in regards to the tourism destination program that's being put on by Roost. She and I have both been attending pretty much every meeting of this since its inception. And I think it's one hell of an outstanding program. I think it has some of the best potential for developing tourism in Ticonderoga that I've seen in a long time. And Chatty and I have been working very hard on it. That being said, I'm going to let Chatty bring forward the request that came out at the last meeting. They're looking for what we consider to be, honestly, you tell me.
Well,
You tell.
the town had a destination master plan that was developed in 2009, and we were about to work on it about 16 months ago when Jim McKenna from Roost, which is the county regional office of sustainable tourism, came to Matt Courtwright and wanted to get together to develop a regional tourism plan. And so our region is 5 towns, 3 counties, and 2 regional economic development centers. And that includes Ticonderoga, Crown Point, Hague, Putnam, and Mariah. This has appeal and has more traction when we're going for CFA grant applications because they always look at a regional approach and they look for communities working together. So we've been meeting with the other towns, and we even meet in different towns. We don't always meet in Ticonderoga. We've met in Hague, we've met in Crown Point, Port Henry, we've met out at the fort. At the last meeting, Jim McKenna suggested that every time, he really gets excited about all of the things that are happening with economic development in Ticonderoga. He likes the fact that we have so many volunteer organizations that are working together, that the town's working with the fort, with TMSP, with the chamber, with Pride. And he feels that we have a lot of game-changing activities going on that will really, you know, they're all moving ahead slowly. But if we can get them together in the form of a one-page narrative and present it to the next Regional Economic Development Committee meeting beginning of June, that'll give us, it's almost like getting us into the pipeline for the new projects. So he asked that the fort, the chamber, and the town work together on writing that narrative. And so I met with Matt and Beth today, and we've all taken our parts in reaching out. I've been reaching out to Pride, International Paper, Interlakes Health, North Country Community College, TRA, and the town to get information on what the priorities are and how we get that into updating our comprehensive plan. So people are going to be sending me information, but what I want from the town is how, if we had a paragraph to write about how the town is supporting economic development and community development, what would we say? And you can go and look at our comprehensive plan, and we're doing a lot of the things that are in there. We're doing, we're making progress on a lot of things. One of the things that, well, here's what I'd say, what I suggest we point out. We talked a little bit about it tonight, but our stormwater runoff management plan, that's water quality improvement, and that's a big part, that's part of our comprehensive plan, preserving our water quality. And we're investing a lot in that. Also, ensuring economic development talks about how we need to increase capacity, and that means our infrastructure has to be able to produce the clean water and handle the excess sewage. If the college came in here, we'd have more demands on each. So how would we write a small narrative that tells how the town is committed to improving our infrastructure so that we can grow? So those are the drinking water, stormwater, sewer upgrades. I thought we haven't talked about it much lately, but we were talking about cleaning up properties in town that are eyesores, they're dangerous, burned out buildings, abandoned buildings. I don't know if we could even, that certainly helps to attract businesses and/or people to your town if the town looks good. So that's what I'm looking for. I don't know if you want Bill and I to write something and you guys just bless it, or if you have things that you think that should be added. How do you feel about that?
Jim McKenna is tourism, promoting tourism.
Right.
And he's asking about sewer water.
No, he's not asking about that. He's asking for a narrative from the town, that includes the town, and it's going to include a statement from the town, the hospital, the college.
What's the end result of this? What is this supposed to do? What will this do? When you give this to Jim McKenna and he puts it in his, it's to bring business to Ty,
Publicize.
people to Ty, it's to
Publicize
bring
the
tourists.
The destination master plan is to bring tourism to Ticonderoga. But he's also on the the North Country Regional Economic Development Committee. And so this is good for him to show that committee how the region is working together on promoting tourism. But the part that I think is important, in order to promote tourism, you have to have the capacity to attract the tourists and to keep them here, but also if they come, what if more businesses come and we have a greater need for clean water, we have a greater need for sewage treatment, our highways. So how is the town supporting our attempts to grow through tourism and other economic development activities?
I think you and Bill should write it. This
Okay.
is my opinion. I think we're doing all those things.
We are.
We are.
We did at one of Tracy's meetings.
We just
Or
need
that's
to-
all
We just did that. the stormwater thing on.
Yeah.
Right.
They could probably, though, from the engineers could give you some kind of a summary, a block summary to summarize, save you a lot of.
I also I interpreted what was being asked a little bit differently than Chatty did. I also think that they're looking for economic activities that we're promoting as well as the infrastructure and all of that.
Well, and that's where everybody else that I've reached out to will give me their, Donna Wadsworth is giving me something for the mill, Beth is writing something for the fort, Matt Courtwright is writing something from the chamber and TMSP and the fort, the hospital. Pride is going to be writing about the sawmill and I think she's also going to be writing about the auditorium at the high school.
I understand. Well, those are things that we can discuss to fit into our narrative.
But you're going to have to take all these things and blend them, and then...
Right.
More or less.
To really show that we're all working together.
Yeah.
That, we have partners in the town who are supportive of we're working in the same direction.
And it can make or break funding applications. I mean, Jim uses this.
It can help.
It can really help funding
It can help.
applications.
Yeah. I don't know that it would break anything, but it can definitely help.
I'm just thinking about what would be the smart approach to having the best finished product.
We'll think it over. Obviously, we're going to have at least a couple of drafts that'll go out, and it's going to be a board product.
But are you looking at one page, two pages?
One page,
One page.
5-minute presentation.
Yes, good.
Right, really brief presentation. Just a couple of other things while we're talking about economic development. The fort, I was talking with Beth today, and the fort was able to purchase the boat, the Carillon, and they're going to be starting trips Memorial Day weekend, 6 days a week, 3 trips a day. You have to pre-buy the tickets, but that's a really big new initiative that they're putting forth this year. Talked about a destination master plan. We're also working on workforce development again, and this time we have 2 different strategies. The one that I'm working on is with Matt is customer service training. We're hoping to have that out by next spring. Just to let you know that we're bringing that up again. Matt Courtwright from the Chamber today said that as of May 1st, the Crown Point Chamber of Commerce will be merging with the Ticonderoga Chamber of Commerce. So they're going to be, their businesses will be promoted along with the Ticonderoga businesses.
Yeah, if you're speaking with Matt, I would like to discuss that with him somewhat. The Ticonderoga town steps up and makes a substantial contribution to the chamber to help our businesses and get them going.
Right.
If the chamber is going to take on the town of Crown Point specifically, I'm assuming that the town of Crown Point is going to help in that effort.
I think that's something that he definitely will be working on. I don't think it's starting out that way, but that is his goal.
Does that mean that Ticonderoga's money is going to be used to promote the Crown Point businesses?
Maybe you want to make a call to the supervisor of Crown Point.
We seem to keep creating overlapping things. I mean, we have like 4 organizations in town for downtown. Now we've taken our chamber and merging it with Crown Point. We have a regional chamber of commerce, but now we're going to do Ty and Crown. We keep overlapping everything. I don't understand that.
Well, I don't think that's a bad idea. It's not, the Crown Point Chamber is now being kind of assimilated into the Ticonderoga Chamber.
That's fine, but I don't think it's fair to expect the Ticonderoga businesses and taxpayers to subsidize that.
Well, the Crown Point businesses have to pay their memberships membership dues, just like the Thai businesses would have to. But I agree, I think that...
Does their town contribute?
I don't think that they
That's the
get town
question.
funding at this point, but that's something, I believe that that's his goal.
I surely hope so. I'll make those calls tomorrow.
The one other thing I'd like to just talk about briefly is Thai TV. If you watch Thai TV, you might notice that there's music now. He just said we have a new radio receiver is up. And as a reminder, the town board meetings are presented live, but they're also, if you want to watch them from 3 o'clock on Wednesday through 8 o'clock Thursday morning, you can watch them then. But the newest thing is that if you have internet access and don't get channel 17, or if you just want to watch it at your leisure, you can watch it on YouTube. If you go to www.youtube.com/channel17productions, you can see the town board meeting anytime, as well as some other things that he has up there. If you have questions that you'd like to address to Heath, it's htowne@ticonderogak12.org. The other thing is the community calendar of events is on the Channel 17, and you can call Matt or Molly at the chamber if you'd like to be listed on that calendar events. That's 585-6619. And that's it. Economic development. Thank you.
Thank you. Two other items I have is, one is we try and accommodate all the not-for-profit entities that we have in town, our volunteer organizations that are working for the community. One of them is TRA, and they asked that I sit on their board of directors, or the supervisor sits on their board of directors. I discovered today through the county attorney that it's actually inappropriate for any board member to sit on their board of directors because of potential conflicts that can arise from it. Mr. Fuller wasn't available. I couldn't get hold of him to talk to him, but I fully plan to tomorrow. But it was Mr. Manning's opinion, and he contacted the comptroller's office.
Do we give them money? Or we have some?
No, but they're an LDC.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where the rub comes because of the grant involvement.
I thought that might be the organization where you're calling about.
Yeah, it's the grant involvement and the type of organization that they are that could create the potential for a conflict of interest, right? Pardon?
Under the Hatch Act?
No, they've dialed that back.
I'm not certain that the particular law. I didn't ask that question.
It's not conflict, it's incompatibility.
But I think it's something that we all need to be conscious and careful of. We don't, number one, we don't want to volunteer our services to an organization where we can put them in a bad light, because then somebody's going to jump and say, well, they got a conflict of interest, look who they've got on their board. We don't want that to happen. We don't want the town to be in a bad light because, well, they're serving on this board and that's a conflict of interest. So, from that perspective, there's several organizations that I am, quote unquote, the supervisor is, quote unquote, ex officio board member. And I'm gonna have Matt look into all of those to see what ones are appropriate and what ones aren't. I don't want to get anybody in a bad position. The last piece I have is I was contacted by the school in regards to their building project, which includes some solar work. And they wondered if they should have their solar people contact the town They're looking for roof, open space, whatever. I told them, sure. One thing that flashed in front of my eyes, which is scary anyway, but we have got 40 acres of land with a device that's going to have a huge electric pump in it. Might not be a bad spot for some solar.
Yeah.
I wondered that.
Yeah.
You know, that crossed my mind on the way down here
And those
tonight.
things feed the grid, you know, and to your utility
Well, they-
bill, and then you don't have to specifically, but that's a great place to put solar.
Most of them feed the grid, get paid for it, and then kind of deal with you on the
On
backside.
your utility bill, yes.
Yeah, and so that, I think it's worth looking
Yeah,
at.
definitely.
Definitely. And
I agree.
I don't know if there's any land available out by the industrial park. I don't know. You know, I'm gonna have to get caught up and brought up to speed on what we have available for vacant land. Top of the sewer plant,
That's what I thought.
out in
Yeah.
front of
We actually looked into
the, out in front of the sewer plant, you know, there's a bunch of it. You know, and I think we ought to look at it.
Don't take too much of his space up, I think he's gonna need it.
Here's what I would tell you, I've done a lot of it, working with municipalities, because you know a lot of municipalities have done it.
Yep.
And just put it in. What I'll tell you is, watch who you're talking to on the supplier side, because they're getting people into these no-bid contracts, and those are gonna blow up someday. A lot of municipalities just went out and did it, thinking they didn't have to bid this stuff. And the comptroller's office will take an exact opposite opinion.
I'm too
There's
cheap
so
for
many
that.
suppliers out there.
I'm too cheap for that.
Yeah, there's so many suppliers out there. And then the other part is I have pretty good concern about the long-term, like 2020, they want to get into these 20 to 25-year
Yeah.
PPAs, they call them, power purchase agreements. And,
They don't mess up.
well, number one, you just never know what's going to happen with the cost.
You
The
don't.
trash plant thing down in Washington County always scared the heck out of me. But the other part of it is it only deals with your usage part of your bill. It doesn't actually get it to you. So National Grid always going to have a cost for lines and things like that. And if you look out, New Mexico actually just read the last year that they want to surcharge people now because so much solar has gone on the grid, they don't have enough money to pay for the lines now. So
Would you become contractually bound to produce a minimum amount?
the production side isn't it, you agree to buy a minimum amount. So they look at all your usage and they say, you're using this right now, you're going to commit to use that for the next 20 years. So if you ever go down,
You're still
things get more
gonna pay for
efficient,
it.
you're still paying that for it. So there's a lot of different things, but if you do it,
It bears a lot of oversight. Bears a lot of
it
oversight.
works. You see more, I see more people wanting to own them now, believe it or not.
'Cause-
That market has gone like
Because
this
the minute you switch them on, the output degrades
instantly.
instantly. It drops, over time.
It's gotten a lot better. I have a big client that does it, and just definitely educate yourself.
I see.
It can work.
Okay, that's it.
I didn't mention about the micro enterprise grant, and there's going to be a public information hearing here. Did you get that?
Just got it.
You want me to read in case anybody is interested in attending?
Actually, we're going to have it, well, go ahead, read it if you want. It's going to be,
There's going to be a public information meeting here Monday, April 20th at 6 p.m. Regarding a micro enterprise program to assist existing and encourage the new startup micro enterprise business in the southern Lake Champlain region. The businesses located or to be located in the following communities may be eligible to apply: Mariah, Crown Point, and Ticonderoga. A micro enterprise grant program is available to qualified businesses that are identified through an application process. You can go to info@essexcountyida.com to get more specifics, but there will be a public information meeting here Monday, April 20th at 6 p.m.
and there should,
You do have to apply. If you want to participate, you do have to attend a training program.
right.
Sorry.
There'll be brochures available by midweek next week. That's all I have for regular session. We do need to have a short executive session to discuss negotiations and a particular personnel.
I move we go into executive session.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.